Hey everybody, this is Brian Canary coming at you. I got some great information about why you should be buying a home if you're thinking about it and you're still renting right now. Great information about why you need to be a homeowner. And then after that, I'm going to tell you how you can become a homeowner, what steps you need to take to get there. Okay, because people sometimes don't know, well, what's my next step? So I'm going to try to cover both of that in this short video. But first, why you need to be a homeowner. I mean, look, I know there's gurus out there telling you that, hey, be a renter, it makes more sense. Listen, they're probably just talking their book. Most of the cases, these guys are mega landlords or invested in home builders or invested in, not home builders, but invested in apartments. They're talking their book. They're convincing you of a proposition to do what's going to make them more money. I'm going to just lay it out for you like this. Look, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's a couple factors, okay? It's like having a home, owning a home, okay, with a mortgage. It's like a free investment. I mean, if you said to me, well, I'm gonna rent for a certain price, and then I'm gonna rent cheaper than buying a home, and then I'll take the money, the difference, and invest it. Okay, well, maybe you'd have an argument, maybe, but the fact of the matter is, with mortgage is so cheap right now and rates so good that you can actually own cheaper than renting, or about the same cost, however you want to do it. Now, I get it. There's people out there that are just renter lifestyle, and they don't have the ability or capability or mentality to want to mow their lawn or take care of their yard and have pride of ownership. That's fine. This obviously video isn't for them. But if you are thinking about owning a home or wanting to own a home, then here's why you need to do it. And I wouldn't hesitate, to be honest with you. I'd start planning it and figuring it out right now. And here's why. Simply because of this. It's always been about leverage with real estate. Leverage. I mean, you can, for like 3.5% down, and there's even zero down programs, which I'll get into in a little bit, but let's just say for 3.5% minimum down, okay, let's just say a $100,000 house, you got to put down, come up with roughly $3,500. I mean, the leverage, you can control a $100,000 asset for only $3,500. Let's just, for argument's sake, keep the number simple. What is that? It's like a 33 times leverage. I mean, you can control 33 times more of an asset than what you've got into it, invested. And why is that significant? Well, here's why. If that asset appreciates 10%, which is not all that uncommon, right? Especially with what I think is coming, is I think there's going to be inflation. It's already coming. It's already here, but you're going to see it coming more and more and more. And as you own that asset, your debt stays the same. So sure, you still got to pay, and you're paying that debt down very slowly, but as your debt payment remains the same, your asset value will rise. So if you get a 10% increase, that'd be $10,000 on a $100,000 asset, and you only invested, you started it, with $3,500. So boom, you've tripled. You've already tripled your return, which is a 10% rise. If you want to study it yourself, go back and look at the history of real estate prices back in the 70s, and look what happened in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Some of these people are buying their house for $30,000, $40,000, and it became worth $400,000, $500,000 just because of the power of inflation. And so I don't want to beat that topic too much, but just think about that for a minute, because if you think, well, I can invest in something else and maybe get those returns, well, maybe, you can do gold, you can do Bitcoin, you can do stocks, whatever you want to do. The issue there, though, is where's your leverage? You don't have as quite the leverage, not even close to the leverage of what I just described, 33 times leverage. You only see that in the Wall Street big banker places. So that's why real estate, and there's built-in tax laws and all kinds of other stuff to stimulate home ownership. So it's the most fundamental, basic way for the lower or middle class to build wealth in America traditionally. And yeah, I know we had the housing bubble, and the bubble burst, and a lot of people got hurt. Absolutely, but that's because it was a bubble. Okay, that was a bubble. I mean, it's not a bubble right now. I mean, housing prices are reasonably low if you compare it to all the other assets, and look at how much other assets have gone up compared to what real estate has. And I don't think it's in a bubble. So you can look at the graph, look at the chart, research it yourself. But the other way, just to wrap this up about why you should buy a home, is think about it. You're going to pay a certain amount of money every month to live somewhere anyway. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have the chance? You have an upside chance to gain, okay? Whereas with a renter, you have no chance to gain anything. So that's my reason why. Now, if that is mildly interesting to you, now I'm going to go into the part about what you need to do. I'm going to simplify it. I've got other stuff that I've written on this on my blogs, my website. You can look me up and check those out in different locations. But I'm going to do in the video version here. And basically, let's just start with this. First thing you got to do is check your bank balance, okay? Even though there are zero down programs, and you may or may not be eligible for those, you can ask around, you're still going to need to cover some closing costs, okay? So you got to have some cash that's got to be in the bank. Don't say you have cash in a safe or under your mattress, because that doesn't work in the banking system, okay? The laws are such that it's got to be in the bank, typically seasoned in the bank for 2 months or more before you apply for the mortgage. So, and how much are we talking about? Well, use my 3.5% guideline. And if you want to go talk to a mortgage person early and find out, if you are eligible for zero down, then maybe you only need $500 or maybe $1,000. But you got to first check your bank balance, okay? So if you don't have the money now, start planning, start saving right now, and get that built up. And the next thing you're going to know is you're going to want to know your number, okay? What does that mean, know your number? I'm talking about your credit score, okay? Some people don't even have a credit score, and so if you don't, well, how do you find that out? Well, the way you find it out is it's completely free. It doesn't cost you any money, and it won't hurt your credit score. You go online to annualcreditreport.com. It won't charge you any money, but you're allowed to see your own credit score, and you're allowed to see your actual credit report. And that will be very helpful to you, because you want to look at that credit report, make sure there's no errors on it. Maybe somebody's got your name confused with somebody else. You've got maybe some bad credit on there that's not really yours. And then there's ways to protest that and clean that up and fix it so your credit score will rise, okay? So you got to know what your credit scores are. And you can just go to annualcreditreport.com, and that'll help you get that information for you, okay? So again, like I said, check them out, review them. The other thing you want to do while you're reviewing that is it's going to list all your debts on there. And what you want to look at is you want to look at your actual monthly payment amount on those debts. So the reason why is because there's going to be something very important in the mortgage application process called the debt to income ratio. And lenders want to just make sure that you're not going to be put in a position where you're going to struggle making your payments, okay? So they don't want too much debt versus how much you make. So look at what your income is, and then also look at what those monthly debts are, and then kind of do a ratio. You want to try to stay, a lower percentage as possible. It's possible you could go up to 50%, but that's pushing it. You really want to be in the low 40s. Would be a good number. Maybe 43% or lower would be great. So check that number out. Okay. The other thing you want to do is you want to kind of think about how much you can afford to pay every month. I mean, you really, even though you might be able to pay, they might say that you're approved, or hey, you can get a loan for up to $1,000. It's not a problem. You can qualify for that. You may not be comfortable with that number, so don't always go up to the number, and don't fall into the trap of thinking that, well, I'm approved. The bank thinks it's okay. They must, they do this every day. They must know more than me. They must think I can go ahead and buy that really expensive house. I didn't think I could. Stick with the number that you are comfortable with. Okay, if things change over time, you can always adjust and get a bigger house. But it's really tough if things get tough, and then you've got a real big payment. It's not. You don't want to be, house poor with a nice house but not have any money left over. So be careful with that. Okay. Let's see what else. There's a lot of things that you need to do here. Let me just wrap this up. The next thing you need to do is you really need to check after you do what I said, and so far, check with your bank account, build up some cash. You got to get your credit score figured out. Check your debt to income, get that figured out. Then it's time to go see a loan officer. Okay. Now this is probably the most important part of the whole process, because you need to know that you need to shop around, okay, for a mortgage. You can't just go to the first person that someone recommends. Yes, you should ask around for recommendations, and yes, you should maybe talk to one person at first, but you don't want to limit yourself to just one person. That's a big mistake that actually a lot of Americans make. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau put out a study a few years ago that talked about how people just go with the first mortgage provider. Big mistake, people, because why it's a big mistake is that mortgage providers are not created equal. There's completely different prices, completely different rates, completely different closing costs. I mean, and you think to yourself, well, why is it? Aren't they all pretty much the same? They're going to have closing costs. No, it's not the way it works. Their rates fluctuate every single day among many different lenders. Some are, just known to be high closing costs, high rate lenders, and maybe there's a reason why that they get away with charging that. But you want to shop, and you want to try to talk to a lot of different people. Spend that extra time up shopping and getting information, because if you can find the low rate and low closing cost provider, that's what you're looking for. And if they can provide the same service level as everybody else, and then it can save you a lot of money. Okay, just to give you a quick example, I mean, closing costs alone, I'll give you 2 examples. I'll give you closing costs and rates. Closing costs alone, some places can be like $1,500 to $2,500 more than everybody else. Some places can be, actually I should say it the other way, they can be about a couple $1,000s lower than everybody else. And it's just the way they do business. That's just their business model. Okay, so that's one thing you can save up front on that. And then the other thing is, if you have a 0.5 percentage point as an example of difference in rates, on a $100,000 loan, let's just say, well, that's 0.5% on $100,000. That's $500 a year. So if you're going to be in the house for 10 years, well, there's $5,000 right there. So now you got $2,000 saved up front on closing costs, and there's another $5,000 over time that you've saved. So that will add up, folks, and it's your money, your hard-earned money. So you don't want to just be casual about just going with the first person you see. So, okay. And then after you do that, like I said, you want to be very careful about what you get approved for, and you don't want to go ahead and just go with whatever they tell you. You want to be really certain what your payment's going to be and be comfortable with it. And then after that, after you get through that process, that's the most important part, is saving money on your financing. Then you want to go ahead and do your research, whether you do it online or you look around, check the neighborhoods. Then you want to, time to then find another trusted advisor. If you've already found your trusted financial advisor, your mortgage advisor, then it's time to find another advisor. And if you don't have a real estate agent, you might want to think about asking around, think about getting one. Again, there's a lot of knowledge out there, a lot of good agents out there that can really help you. And again, I would follow the same philosophy on that, and I would not just pick the first one. I'd be careful about picking someone just because they're related to you. There's too much money at stake. There's a lot of complications could arise, and having a trusted advisor in your corner can really pay off for you. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. I hope that helped. If you found this information helpful, excuse me, I'm losing it here. I'm turning the corner. Please go ahead and like and share this video, and send it along to somebody else who may benefit. Thanks. Have a great day, and good luck house hunting.